protests. There were always timely protests. The protesters accused the Parks Department of obliging the hotel, catering to consistent bias against the homeless, the handicapped, and the poor. Maud had written a witty and passionate column in the college newspaper, opposing and mocking the move, which had been much admired. It went without saying that most downtown workers, as well as most students with classes in nearby buildings, felt more comfortable after the work was done. Even Maud had to admit that it had been an ordeal to pass by every day, and there was no question but that the common looked more cool without the poor. Outside, the morning rush had not quite begun. A city bus was parked at its last designated stop with its motor running. Traffic was sparse, and only a few late-shift college workmen were headed for the underground parking lot below the common.
"So, hey,"
said Maud's roommate, whom everyone called Shell.
"What do you got on today?"
Shell was an actress and had been a principal in a few independent movie productions of the sort that played limited-release houses. Her name was Shelby McGoffin, and she came originally from eastern Kentucky. She talked that talk as necessary, but had many voices. She was studying for a degree in drama, having transcended her hard upbringing and a much too early marriage. Shell was not one of your extremely pretty actresses, but she was memorable, thin and eccentric in a way that would have brought her character roles in the old Hollywood. Sometimes people asked her about her marriage. Other students, curious. "Ever hear from the guy?"
"Oh,"
Shell would say,
"first boy I loved,"
quoting the Judy Collins song.
"No,"
she would tell them,
"never."
But that was not true. He called her sometimes.
"You got a date with Mr. Mann today?"
Shell asked.
"Early appointment,"
Maud told her. She folded her hair under a black sailor's watch cap, borrowed a hooded jacket of Shell's, put on painter's pants and hiking boots. She had on nice underwear, though, in case, as her mother had always said, she was hit by a bus, or, as Mom omitted to say, overcome by passion. They took a shortcut past the church, now sounding its 7 o'clock chimes. Their route would take her past the bus stop and the queue of bums, but Maud felt it would be craven and unprincipled to avoid it. The early morning rush hour was beginning as the two women hit Amity Street. A few pedestrians walked quickly toward the college and the office buildings on the far side of the common. Cars were caught at the light, and the healthier, more aggressive among the poor, mainly young black men who had taken places at the front of the line, stepped into traffic talking. "Yo, I say, Cadillac man!" But the drivers were not Cadillac men, or if they had Cadillacs, the Cadillacs were 12 years old and patched, and plenty of the drivers were women. At that hour, Cadillac men would not appear, although at 10 there would be plenty, and Saab Sahibs and Bimmers, thoughtful Volvo men and suburban soubrettes in armored Abrams-class deuce-and-a-half Windstars or Jeep personal use vehicles. So there was agitation and the locking of retro car doors, dirty looks from the honest working stiffs, and silent muttering behind the rolled-up windows. Out walking from the city garage, older men put their hands in their pockets and kept their eyes on the street. Young white men in bunches laughed it off, red-faced, simmering with piss-off. The panhandlers laughed back at them, hot-eyed, selling wolf tickets. There had actually been a summit the previous year. The city, the college, the police, the Coalition for the Homeless, and the overseers of the common. Participants in the summit were cautioned against the use of certain words. The words dirtbag, wino, bum, scum, street scum, chronic nuisance, predator, freeloader, disenfranchised, disadvantaged, the poor, criminal, jailbird, vagrant. Biculturally conscious, the summit included the words cabron, criminal, raton, ladron. The mayor, free on bail after his arrest and indictment for racketeering, gave a comment to the struggling newspaper of record to set in funny-colored inks. "This is talk we don't want to hear in our city."